So let's get into some of this stuff. Godspell. Now, this is a film and a play that essentially mocks the birth of Jesus Christ by depicting him as an effeminate clown with a serpent on his chest. And it seemed to predict the fall into dust of the two buildings that the cast of this musical was dancing atop in the opening scene. Watch. Now I have the sound turned off here. But here they are. I put it in slow motion. As you can see, they seem to be forming the tip of a spear. They are actually dancing on the top of the Twin Towers, the one with the antenna on it. And what they're saying here, let me put the closed caption on so you can at least see what they're saying. Oh, there is no closed caption on this. They're singing a song called All for the Best. And they actually say that all your wrongs will be regressed. Wow. Let's see, maybe we could play part of this song here. Just got to be careful. Let's turn the volume up. Okay. Let me make the speed normal so you can actually hear what they're saying. Now, they are literally dancing on top of the Twin Tower in the formation of a tip of a spear.
Never be distressed. You must never be distressed.
So, it's all for the best.
Got to be oppressed.
No one's got to be oppressed. Now, obviously, this was completed before the towers, or filmed before the towers were even completed. Now, we had decoded this film before, but that decode that we did has disappeared. I don't know where it is. So, we're going to go back over it with a summary of our initial findings just from my memory and break down this film. Now, I put together a thumbnail to summarize some of the concepts inside of this film. Here's the Jesus character with the serpent on the chest, dressed as a clown, with a heart in the pineal position of his forehead. Why? Because Jesus said the eye is the lamp of the body, and your eye is either full of light, which is the Holy Spirit, or it's full of darkness. And this thumbnail really puts all of this together. The deep level of sorcery going on here. Now, the next thing I want you to notice is the name Godspell. And in both the playbill and the title of the film, you'll see the numbers 9 and 11 encoded. Now, this was 1973 when this came out. Just a few months before the official, actually it was 7 and 7 days before the official opening of the towers. 7 and 7 days, 77. And look at this. There we see a 9. All I did was invert and mirror this Godspell title, and there is the 11s hiding in plain sight. Now, oh, Casey, you're just making all this up. They were, even if 9 and 11 were in Godspell, had nothing to do with the event. That had to do with the emergency number. No, the emergency number had not been in use or invented or even thought of yet in 1973. Not the emergency number. And as you can see, if you were to invert and mirror the movie title here, you would also see the 9 and 11. So it appears in both. Now, here's what we also see. Now, it took some years to develop the eyes to see this next part I'm going to show you. This is the playbill image, because remember, they did a play on it as well. And in the image, I inverted it as well. And there you can make out the twin smoking buildings. Here's one building in black and the other in white. Now, what does this mean? Well, obviously, this is the duality. That's why they're black and white, because it was always about duality, wasn't it? That's what the twins were about. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is the chessboard, right? The red dot on his face is symbolic of sacrifice. It's the blow to one of the buildings here. Now, I don't know where the second building struck, but it looks relatively close. First building over here struck there. Now remember, I just showed you they're dancing on top of the building, so it's not a stretch to see the Twin Towers in the actual logo of the play. If there was no connection to the buildings, then I would say, oh, maybe it's a bit of a stretch. But no, there is a connection to the buildings, and they literally show that inverted. The chin forms almost like the tip of the spear. See the tip there of the chin? The tip of the spear almost, doesn't it? Now, what does the hair represent? Let's go in the chat and see what you guys think. What does the hair look like around the buildings? Let's go see what you guys think about this as we break down the film Godspell. If you're just tuning in, that's what we're covering right now. His nose is a cross. Dancing clowns, says Redeemed by All. The nose looks like a plane. Yes, it does. Medusa, snakes, smoke. Genesis, Revelation. Got it? Yes, it's the smoke and the dust. It's the falling into dust. So for those tuning in that are new to the channel, we don't just make stuff up. We all think together to see what this all means. The hair becomes the buildings falling into dust. So, I won't be showing you too many clips from the film because this is a very sensitive topic and very highly copyrighted. But understand that there is a scene like the one that you're going to see depicted here, in which Jesus, played by a clown, is crucified. Now, the actor that plays Jesus has a serpent on his chest, a Superman costume. Now, why? Why would he have a serpent on his chest? Well, because Jesus said, like the bronze snake that was raised up in the wilderness by Moses, so too the Son of Man will be raised up to save the world. The serpent in the chest. In the wilderness, it was the caduceus, the blue snake. Jesus is the red blood, and he came to forgive us for all of our sins through sacrifice. He opened the portal to himself, didn't he? He opened the portal to himself through the act of sacrifice, so that there would have to be no more sacrifices. He became the sacrifice. And if you're still sacrificing things, thinking that that's going to help you forgive you of your sins, then you're not living under the covenant of Jesus. You're basically denying his sacrifice. Now understand that Superman is Apollo as well. He came from the sun. He's powered by the sun. But then you have Jesus, who is the true I am. Apollo is the false I am, the false Alpha Omega. Jesus is the true I am, the true Alpha and Omega. So this is clear Christ mockery, isn't it? With the heart in the pineal position on his forehead, dressed as a clown. The enemy wants us all full of false love. He wants us full of the do what thou wilt. Love everybody. Love their sin. Embrace sin. False love. That's what the enemy wants for us. So that everyone just sins at will. So those are the elements that I pulled out. Many of you probably already noticed the flower theme. We'll get into that as well, because that's all about Midsommar and the summer solstice sacrifice of Apollo. All of this points back to Apollo. So what else do we have here? Let's get into some more of these images and themes in Godspell. So what's this plot about? Well, the film released in 1973, as you can see right here, very close to 322, but 7 days before the official opening of the Twin Towers, which opened on April 4th. So 7 days, 14 days, the tower would open after they were dancing on the rooftops. So the plot goes like this. Basically, Jesus, depicted as a clown, picks up disciples throughout the New York landscape. That is, until he's crucified. And the whole film opens with the ascension to the Twin Towers, where they have the ritual dance on the roof. Now let's go back to this image, because there's something else I want to show you. If we know that the black and the white parts of the face, with the inverted cross, it looks like in his nose, doesn't it? If we know that this was a portal, then that would mean that the eyes are at the bottom. This is the pit at the bottom of the towers, allowing the demons in through the portal. Why do you think there was eternal fire burning at the bottom of the towers? It's because they had opened a portal to hell in the bottom of the dust through the sacrifice. This is where the demons came through. The eye is the window to the soul. It's also a portal. Now, there are good portals and bad portals. When a woman gives birth through her womb, which is an eye, that's a portal. Child goes from knowing God in the womb to now in the sinful world, born into sin, born in through a portal, right? We've already talked about the similarities between the structure of the human eyeball and the womb of the woman. Both have an umbilical cord inside. Both are filled with fluid. Both have a cervix, which is the iris, opening and closing. Both have inverted images, which is why the child's inverted in the womb. Both have placentas, which is like the retina in the eye. Both have fruit inside of them. Rods, cones, and bipolar cells. Looks like figs, grapes, and pomegranates lining the inside of your eye. And of course, the child is synonymous with fruit as well, according to the Bible. So your eye is a portal, just like the womb is a portal. They both are nested twins of one another, aren't they? And there are many, many, many more connections between eyes and wombs that we covered in the Body Code series, in case you're unaware of this. So, here we have these eye portals at the bottom of these two towers that are smoking in this inverted image. This is just unreal. And yes, the chin does look like an arrow or a plane, maybe. I don't believe that these were real. I think that these were images superimposed, but something caused this damage. Probably some kind of missile. So, let's look at some of the songs. Let me check in with you guys, and we're going to look at some of the songs in the actual playlist of Godspell in the musical. Look at this. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. Save the people day by day. Turn back, O man. Bless the Lord, all for the best. All good gifts. Light of the world. Alas for you, by my side, beautiful city. On the willows. Now, what could that possibly mean? Well, we've been covering willows, haven't we? Willows represent hair and Alopicus, who discovered Artemis under a willow tree. Artemis, the twin sister of Apollo. And look where this was filmed. I hope you're sitting down for this one. In addition to the World Trade Center, it was also filmed at the 666 Tishman building. They changed the address to 660 Fifth Avenue, but this was the very building that Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, purchased it at a very high price, as a matter of fact, where Wolf of Wall Street was filmed. He has since sold the building, but he owned it nonetheless, and this is where some of it was filmed. We've also got Hell Gate Bridge, where some of this was filmed at. Wow. Now, you're going to notice in the thumbnail here, I'm going to show you next, this flower theme. Actually, I'm going to show you a little piece of this. We'll turn the sound off on this one. But here's the Jesus character here, with the serpent on his chest, going around collecting disciples in New York. They're on an ice cream truck. Ice cream is sacrificed, dairy. But watch this next part. He goes and collects this particular disciple, and he gives her a midsummer type floral crown, a corona of flowers. Now, we've seen this before, haven't we? Let me zoom it up so you can see this coronal floral crown. This was on the number 19 tarot card. Now, we don't read tarot cards here, but they do. And it's obvious that there's a wall here behind her on the number 19 tarot card. XIX, which is the name of Trump's nanny. Her name is ZZ, XIXI. And there's, of course, the Apollo sun riding on a white horse with a bow and a crown. Revelation. Right out of Revelation. This is Apollyon with the toxon bow and a crown riding on a white horse. This is the sun card. 19 hijackers. I think there was a flight 19 19 tridents on the facade of the buildings. 19 years after this, we had CV-19, didn't we? Wow. Now, let's back up here, because they sing a little song to each other, right? They're just like mocking in plain sight. Like, how did people not see this? So here are the disciples here. And one of these disciples plays also John the Baptist. I think it's this guy. So he plays Judas and John. But if you look here, there seems to be 9 disciples instead of the 11 that Jesus ended up with after Judas betrayed him. So, another 9/11 clue. Now, what happened to the cast of Godspell? Well, I looked up all the people that had a Wikipedia page. The guy who plays Jesus, he's still alive. The guy who played Jesus is still alive. Let's take a look at him. Victor Garber. Here he is right here. Guess when he was born? 3/16. And what could that mean? Let me go back into the chat. So you guys are smart people. What does him being born on 3/16 mean? The guy who played Jesus. Let's go back in here. See who gets it first. He was blind, someone said. What does it mean that the guy was born on 3/16? Yes, Brian got it first. John 3:16. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, so that all could be saved. It's the one scripture that most Christians know by heart. So, in other words, this guy was cast into a role based on his birthday, which is what we've been trying to tell you guys. You guys all get it, but a lot of people think that us looking at birthdays is just hogwash. They don't believe it. They believe in other forms of decoding, but we've had a long track record of looking at birthdays and how they've been cast. So, what else is going on here? Well, as I said, I looked at all of the people in the cast. Ready for this? The guy who played John the Baptist and Judas, his name is David Haskell, died young. Died in his 50s, 1 year before the towers fell. And this guy, Merrill Jackson, the garment trader, who also played one of the disciples, died very young as well. 38 years old. Guess when he died? On 2/23, which is 3/22 backwards, in 1991. What happened to the taxi driver? Jeffrey Milett. Well, he died at 36 years old, 6 times 6 years old, on 5/7, which is 5G. Died at 54 years old. I'm sorry, he died of AIDS. What about the actress who plays the student? Now, some of these people don't have Wikipedia pages. Lynn Thigpen, a college student, died at 54 years old from an aneurysm. You guys, God will not be mocked. And I have a feeling that when you're cast into these roles and you basically are mocking God, Jesus, and the disciples, you pretty much are done. Now, of course, this musical was bathed in symbolism. But you could literally spend days picking through all the details of this because it's very colorful. There's a lot of graffiti on walls and stuff. I think the first go around where we looked at this, we spent a lot of time on it and went through some of the stuff. But there's lots of sun symbolism you're going to see in here. Lots of arches of triumph, or we call them arches of Trump. You're going to see tips of spears, as you see here, them dancing in the spear formation on the roof with the Empire State Building in the backdrop, which would form the shaft of the spear, Apollo's spear. Let me show you some of this in a short clip here. I want you to see some of this symbolism here. Actually, I think of this. Oh, here we go. So there's Jesus crucified on the chain link fence, tied with ribbons, bows. They pull him off the chain link fence. I mean, wow. There are your arches of triumph, or arches of Trump, front and center in this whole thing. Look at that, parallel arches. They march him through the arches of Baal, arches of Palmyra. Those aren't literally the arches of Palmyra, but this is symbolism and spiritual connections here. They pull him down off the cross and they march him singing, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord." So basically they're carrying the cross, right? And they seem to be celebrating. And life goes back to normal. So, I have the sound turned off, obviously, for copyright. So now you see that this has all been going on for a very long time. And either they made it all happen, or they were actually able to see into the future through some kind of looking glass technology. Ooh, look at the pigskin, the unclean football. Every prop is put there on purpose. Wow. Now, believe it or not, there are people that are so asleep that they thought that this was a good thing, this film. That this was, great. Because people get to learn about Jesus and they were speaking biblical verses. They had no idea that Christ was being mocked. Now, here's another Christ mockery film. Jesus Christ Superstar. Now, we had decoded this one as well, and of course, I can't find it. It's nowhere on any of my channels. I don't know what happened to the decode. We might have to do this one again. Another Christ mockery film from the 1970s. This one was 1971. And look at this. It too encodes the twin duality right here in the movie cover poster with these two angels praying towards one another. So I may take another look at this film, of course. Some of these older films are really hard to get through because they're just so outdated and so lame. But this may be important enough to do so. So, the rest of this week, going into next week, will be full of brand new decodes. We are going to have a queue Decode tomorrow. It's a playlist marathon. It's going to be about 2 hours long. I think that's tomorrow. And those will be older videos, and I'll be in the chat with you. But many of you had requested me to decode Q. So I'm going to decode that for you. And there's a lot to it. We're going to talk about Q University that Trump went to as a child, spelled K-E-W. We're going to talk about the Q at JFK's gravesite when Trump was 17 years old. 17 alphanumerically is Q. We're going to talk about Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, Q. So those will be tomorrow's playlist decodes. And then I screened a brand new film yesterday called Significant Other. And it is creepy. It's all about a meteor carrying a blue goo that allows the alien inside of it to impersonate or clone life. It can also exist with it. The serpent in the chest, of course. And guess what the alien looks like? It looks like a hydra. And guess what it uses as a weapon? A needle. You can't make this up, you guys. It's almost like they're writing their scripts based on stuff we've already covered. This film just came out, which means it was filmed probably last year. Obviously, nobody knew the plot of this film until now. So I'll be doing a decode on that Monday. And then also I'm screening the new Batman film and a whole lot of other films as well. I've got a bunch of them in my tabs, brand new films that we will decode and put up on the channel. All right, let's go into the chat here and see what you guys are up to. That's it for not Jesus Christ, sorry. That's it for Godspell. And that's what it was, wasn't it? It was a ritual spell. 9 is the ultimate number, the end. Word circus is an anagram of crucis, Latin phrase, the way of the cross. Wow. More mockery, right? New restaurant opening called the Chicken or the Egg. Wow. Marcy found Jesus in spite of looking at that play and movie. That's great. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Amanda. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Shauna. I think you guys are the more gifted ones. Now, I don't know what made me decide to look at Godspell again. I went to look for it, I think, on my channel to see if I could re-upload it and couldn't find it. So I'm like, I have to do that one again. I have to do it again. So that was pretty much it. Shauna couldn't watch the movie. Yeah, it's very difficult to watch for those of us that love Jesus, right? The S on the chest looks like a 6. Thanks, Craig. Thank you, RBS Truth. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to let you get to your day. I know it's a busy time of year for a lot of you. And we'll be back on here tomorrow with a playlist marathon. It's going to be about 2 hours long. All about Q. Much love, everybody. Take care and be safe.